What's up, you guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. So as you can tell by the title, I don't think Revenge of the Fallen is as bad as some people in the Transformers community and fandom like to make it out to be. Now, I know a lot of people out there love Revenge of the Fallen, but there's also a good amount of people out there that absolutely despise this movie the last, how long has it been? 16 years almost? Oh my god, I feel like I'm becoming an unk. I'm not even in my mid 20s, but I feel like an unk saying that I saw Revenge of the Fallen in theaters the day it came out in 2009. Time just flies so fast. But I was recently rewatching it like a week or two ago, and I was thinking to myself the whole time, the whole 2.5 hours, man, this is a fun, entertaining movie that, frankly, if you compare it to movies today, 10 years ago, superhero movies, action movies, it's held up pretty well, especially in terms of practical effects, CG, all that stuff. I mean, just the look of the movie alone and the Transformers, how they look on screen, you don't get that quality today, even. It is insane. Like, these studios do not want to pay for that type of quality anymore because I honestly don't know the exact reasons, but I'd assume, the film industry isn't as profitable as it was back in 2009. I'm sure that's a factor to it as well, but I don't know. I'm no expert. I'm just speculating here. But just all this stuff that I think about when I watch these older Bayverse movies, like the first three, I'd say, and maybe even Age of Extinction a little bit too, is like they were super popular, but I feel like we took certain things for granted back then, especially with what we have gotten recently with The Last Night, the Bumblebee movie, and Rise of the Beast. You just don't feel that spectacle anymore. You don't feel that hype that you used to get with like the first three movies. They're not really a cultural phenomenon like they used to be. And we just need to get back to that somehow. But Revenge of the Fallen. So the opening sequence is absolutely insane. You start off in Shanghai. You're fighting all these Decepticons, explosions going off left and right, flipping cars, all these robots crashing into each other and fighting. It is just an insane and epic way to open a movie, especially for Transformers. Like, you got a bunch of robots shooting and fighting at each other. What more can you ask for if you're a Transformers fan and you're sitting there watching the first 5 minutes of the movie? Like, I just think hands down, besides the blackout opener in the first movie, I think that is probably the best opening sequence we've gotten for any live action Transformers movie. Hands down. Like, that Shanghai battle is legendary. And the way they filmed it, you just don't get filming like that with action movies anymore, where they're on site. You get all these practical effects, explosions, flipping actual cars. Like, that is true movie production. If you just look at the behind the scenes of these first few movies, it is absolutely amazing how they actually shot these action scenes. And then, this movie isn't perfect. I do want to throw that out there in this video. I don't think this is like an amazing movie. I don't think it's the best thing since sliced bread. The comedy is a little over the top at times. I feel like it is a little bit crude in ways that it really doesn't need to be. But if you just look past some of the pointless comedic scenes, dialogue, and moments that you get in this movie that easily could have been left out, like I'll say this right now, they could have shaved like 10, 15 minutes of human scenes off of this movie, and it would have been a much more enjoyable experience. But with that said, I feel like we don't even look at this movie enough in terms of something that is kind of like, I don't know if I want to say classic, but something that has really helped shape film in recent years. Like, if you look at Revenge of the Fallen, that was something that was so hyped up, and there's still so many fans till this day of that movie. And I don't know, you just had to be there. I know some people weren't even born yet watching this video, so you guys probably don't even truly understand what I'm trying to convey and say here. But back in 2009, the whole year was like Revenge of the Fallen, it felt like. Um, Obviously, not exactly to what I'm saying, but culturally, in terms of film and being a kid or a teenager at that time, like that Revenge of the Fallen was basically the main thing that whole year from January to December. Same thing with the 2000. Well, not really with the 2007 movie because they kind of had to prove the quality and the hype with that first movie, but definitely with Dark of the Moon and a little bit of Age of Extinction too, because they were still riding off of the hype of Dark of the Moon being the highest selling Transformers movie and the hype for Dark of the Moon being so high. Yeah, with Revenge of the Fallen, like he just had to be there with that stuff. And the second act, we get the greatest fight ever. The greatest act, like hands down, the forest fight scene is one of the greatest action scenes, if not the greatest, in movie history ever. I still watch that multiple times a month, 16 years later till this day, y'all. Like, that is a sequence that is going to go down in movie history. Mark my words. I definitely do feel like it will. Like 30, 40 years from now, people are going to be studying this scene in film school. Or I feel like that scene really inspired a lot of people in terms of artistry and film work. I know it sounds a little out there, but I mean, just think about it. All the views this has online, all the people that grew up watching that. Like, it is a very iconic and famous scene from that movie and from the Transformers movies in general. Like, you think of scenes from 2000s movies, I definitely do feel like for a lot of people in movie buffs, that scene comes up, you know? Just with that alone, the forest fight being in this movie, I feel like we should give it a little bit more credit than certain people in the community do. You know, it kind of does fall apart a little bit after that. You know, you get a lot of that pointless human interaction. But, you know, the Egyptian final battle parts that you get for like the last 40 minutes of the movie, I feel like makes up for that, I don't know, like 20 minutes of boring human exposition and toilet humor that you get throughout. Like that fight, there is a lot you could nitpick about it. Like sometimes they're just shooting at the camera. You don't even see who they're shooting at, blah, blah, blah. You know, typical complaints and valid nitpicks that we've heard over the last 16 years. I feel like just in terms of the camera angles, the CG, the practical effects, I still feel like this is probably one of the best final battles we've gotten in Transformers film. I definitely do feel like the first movie, Dark of the Moon, and Revenge of the Fallen have the best final battles. The Bumblebee movie, I don't care about that. It was a little bland to me. Rise of the Beast, it was drab and bland and uninspiring. The Last Night, don't even get me started on that final battle. What a snooze fest. And, you know, people were just saying that was the worst final battle fight when that came out ever, basically. And I feel like people don't even realize how good we had it with that final battle, especially nowadays with the last couple Transformers movies. It's just crazy how far we've kind of fallen with certain things. And watching this movie now, yes, it was considered the worst Transformers movie that we've gotten, but nowadays it feels like a masterpiece. And I'm not even trying to bash it. Like, that's just kind of how it is nowadays. It's crazy. But even so, I feel like the action, the robot designs, the Transformers interactions that we do get in this movie, Skids and Mudflap, you could, you know, argue that they are not really the greatest inclusions, but I don't know. One of the voice actors of Skids and Mudflap, who is black, by the way, did say that he didn't find it offensive. Like, they were just trying to be posers and just mimicking hip-hop culture, which I don't really see how that's racist myself. Someone who is half black myself, I really don't take offense to that at all. But, you know, it is something you can look at and be like, what are they really trying to do here? But I don't know, I still like Skids and Mudflap. There are issues with the movie, but I feel like everything else kind of outweighs it a little bit for me, and I know for a fact I'm not the only one out there that thinks this. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below, how do y'all feel about Revenge of the Fallen nowadays in 2025. And yeah, catch you guys in the next video. Bye.